that fairly easily, which I think we were kind of in the same boat for most of the summer and the offseason when we were discussing this. Like, Godchaux may not be a player that we extend for multiple years, but they obviously opted to do so. And I think the other part, like with Christian Barmore missing, and I know they're completely different players, right? Like Godshaw's the big, he's going to two gap, he's going to take on bodies in the run game, and Barmore is more of the pass rusher, the one-on-one penetrator. They're different styles, but if you lose both of these guys, or if you have like an uninterested, uninvolved Godchaux, like that hurts. And I think Gerard Mayo kind of said that this morning, like they keep some level of stability in the middle there, where now you're Davon Godchaux and Christian Barmore's replacement instead of two replacement level players there in the interior. So, different style of players, but I think it's good to keep him in the middle there. And, now he's happy and he has that guaranteed money.
Yeah, and he's the other thing that doesn't get talked about is his presence in the locker room, which is important. Yep. And especially if Judon's going to be either not here or be a problem, having a veteran setting locker room presence matters all the more. But yeah, I mean, they kept a solid player here for not that much money. At the end of the day, it's not really anything to complain about.
Yep. So they'll still have tons of cap. Again, like the theme with all of these is they have so much money that it's not going to stop them from going out and hopefully getting that big wide receiver or offensive tackle. Probably not an offensive tackle in free agency. There's not many available, especially after, Tristan Wirfs signed his deal. But, getting that big fish, maybe trade for one. None of these are stopping them of making that move and paying a guy of that caliber. So let's talk about Judon. He was back today. Gerard Mayo said they had a good conversation after, they had the episode on Monday at practice, and then he wasn't in the facility on Tuesday. He said they had a good conversation, wanted to keep most of it in-house of that conversation, but he was back at practice today. It wasn't a padded practice, which is important to note, but he was out there, pretty much a full participant. He did all positional drills. He was out there for just like a play or two each period during the team drills, but he was out there. Is that a good sign, do you think, for the future of Matthew Judon? I know we've been bumping up and down these percentages of play a snap. We were at like 55, 60%, I think, after the whole Monday episode. Are you maybe a little back up higher after they had a good conversation and we saw Matt Judon out there in a non-padded practice again, but he was out there?
I don't know that I'm up. Like, it's not a bad sign. I don't know that it's a good sign, because on one hand, you can look at it and say, look, they got him back out there and that's good. But you also could look at it and say, did they tell him we're going to try to trade you, but we need you to practice? Like, you help us out in practice so we can actually get something for you, and we'll trade you somewhere that wants to give you an extension. Also, in his case, nobody's going to be, super eager to trade for him after what happened last week. Does he need to look like he's, under control and has everything in check so that a team will actually not just trade for him, but give him the extension? So that could go either way. Gerard Mayo said they talked. He also said they're moving forward. He didn't define what moving forward means. He left that kind of vague. I think that might've been on purpose. I'm still at maybe I was at, I think 50, 55, call it 55, 60 now from the other day. Like it seems like the plan is, because we talked about this, how do you move forward from that? I think we agree the best path in theory is to have him on the field because he makes them a better team. But how do you square that with what happened over the last week? And that includes the issues yesterday where I think he got mad that the team was trying to make him look bad with the erroneous Diana Rossini report. The best path is him back on the field, but how do you get there from what happened? And it seems like the plan might just be forget about it. Like, that didn't happen. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to think about it. We're just burn the tapes, move on. And maybe that'll work. That feels a lot more like a Band-Aid than anything else. So does it flare up again when the regular season starts? Like, now what? Okay, so they told him to get back out there. They told him to essentially behave. Did that come with the promise of a new contract? If so, like, is that agreed on? Because what happens if that was the deal and then suddenly they still can't agree on a contract? Now you're going to have the same issue, but twice as bad. It all still feels very day-to-day to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think I'm a little more optimistic. Just the fact that he was out there. Like, I think we were talking after the whole Monday thing, like, can you even bring him back in the building, right? And he wasn't on Tuesday after the whole blow up. And I thought that he was out there. That was a little optimistic sign that maybe they're making progress on something there. But do you think it could change? I think they're expected to be in pads tomorrow. I mean, you said day to day, like, could we get out there and he's back to, oh, if I don't have my money, I'm not putting on these pads and I'm not going full contact. Like, do you think we could just be right back to where we were the other day, where now he's sitting out of padded practice tomorrow?
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out. If he doesn't have a deal done, does he look at that and say, I don't want to risk anything physically in a fully padded practice, in a contact practice? That's a really good point, Brian. Tomorrow is going to be, assuming they are in full pads, which you think they will be. Assuming they are in full pads, tomorrow's another big day for Judon and the way that whole thing plays out. Or, does he come out, stretch, and then he's off to the side the rest of the day? It's something to watch tomorrow for sure.
Yep. Absolutely. So we're still on contract watch. One down, but one to go there with Judon. So that's your contract updates. We can also add on the defensive line. They did sign Mike Purcell today, who old Patriot legend, right? Back on the practice squad.
Yeah.
What was it?
Not Mike 2017, not Mike Pennell.
Yep.
Who
that's who I thought at first
was some people's initial reaction because he's a good player. Couldn't make it. He had a horrible summer here and didn't make the team. And seems like he was going the Coney Ely route, but he's bounced back. But not Mike Pennell, Mike Purcell. He was on the practice squad here in 2017 for like a month.
Yep. So Mike Purcell in, just some more D-line depth there. They also, Josiah Brunson was the guy that they brought in the other day. So some added D-line depth. I believe that's back to a full roster, right? Back to 91. Yep. So full roster. As they enter game week, it is game week. We should have brought that up off the top there. It is game week. So full roster, week from tonight, first preseason game. So let's jump into today's practice. We can keep it on with the defense because we were talking about Godchaux. We were talking about Judon, and we can keep it right up front in that front seven. Again, the pads were off today, so not as much to take away from that front seven. But, I mean, our guy, O'Shane Zimenez, was just right at, I think it's O'Shane. That's okay. We're all over the map with this name, but
I'm gonna find I'm gonna find the Old Dominion media guide. Hang on.
Yeah, because it's only his first name, his last name in the Patriots media guide. But Zimenez was active again. He was very involved on the edge, and he had one play where, again, it's not pads, but like he blew up a run to the extent where defensive line coach Jerry Montgomery like noticeably ran on the field, like gave him a huge high five, gave him an applause. So he's still stacking days here, and he might not be the one-on-one pass rusher that Judon is, but he seems to be carving out like a nice little role for himself. And even if Judon's on the team, like, talk about a depth pass rusher, edge player there, like he's been pretty impressive early on here.
And we haven't seen a ton of special teams, but he can play in the kicking game too. So he seems like somebody who's pointed towards a roster spot for sure.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely agree with you there. Anything else on that, like D-line? Did you notice any D tackles maybe get a little more work today? Or, again, Judon only played like one play to start 11s and then sat. So that's where we saw Zimenez, a little bit of, Anthony Jennings, as you would expect on the edge there. Keon White still really involved. But anyone else on that D line, or you can even extend that back to the linebackers there in the front seven that caught your eyes throughout practice today here?
Well, I'll just bring this up. There was never really a logical time to bring this up. Like, there's certain players that have good camps that just, we would have never come on here a few years ago and been like, who's having a good camp? Julian Edelman, right? Because it's just like, and right, that. Like what, right? Yeah. So I think Jawan Bentley snuck into that category. Because I was watching today and he made a couple snaps, and it was, the fourth or fifth day that he's kind of been involved. And I was like, Jawan Bentley's having a good camp. We haven't said a thing about it. And then I kind of was like, well, do we need to at this point? So I'll just take this opportunity to give him his flowers. He's had a good camp. Yeah. I found, all right, I have the media. Oh, it is O'Shane. So they have it. Old Dominion has this O'Shane Zimenez.
Oh boy, now we're just all over the place.
ZIM-AH-NES. Or I think it's Zimenez. O'Shane Zimenez.
They have it ZIM dash AH, you
Like
said?
the phonetic, yeah.
Huh.
Here, I'll copy and paste this into the chat so you can see what I'm working with here.
Pats have
There
it
we go.
ZIM Zimanez. Okay. The
But
Pats
I
have
think
it
because that second N, I think because the N is capitalized, that's supposed to be the point of inflection.
Ness.
So O'Shane Zimenez or
Zimanez.
Zimenez.
Zimanez.
But it's
Okay.
Zimenez, not
We're
Zimenez.
we're just gonna keep
We
saying
got
this.
to talk to this guy
Yeah.
already. Yeah.
I mean, we should talk to him at some point. He's out there all the time.
He's
And
a
he's been
very
hard.
relevant player now. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to. I don't know if someone's requested him. We might have to put that request in to talk to him. And just first question: how the hell do you say your first and last name so we can move on from
Yeah.
that? But that was most of it for the front seven. We can move back to. Oh, we can. I'll just add. We still haven't seen Marte Mapu at all. Like he's out there in his jersey, but he hasn't practiced at all. So just again, that was a guy we spent all offseason wondering what a role is going to be for him, and now he might have an opportunity with Sion Taki on the pup to get some snaps here, and he just can't even get on the field to earn a role and to carve out a role for himself. So that's kind of disappointing, I would say, for Marte Mapu here early in his second camp there, but still haven't seen any of him. But back to the secondary, we saw some one-on-ones with corners versus wide receivers. I don't think anyone, or we did have Sean Wade in his red non-contact. He left early. Marcus Jones went back to the athletic tent at the end of practice. Didn't look like anything too serious, but don't want to speculate too much. So we saw a lot of rookie Marcellus Dial, and then we saw some of those one-on-ones. So did anyone from that group kind of stand out to you throughout the day?
We definitely saw more, I think, from Marcellus Dial.
Yep.
His roles increased. We've seen Isaiah Bolden start to rep more, and I think some of that is Alex Austin not exactly picking up where he left off after the spring. So I look at those two as guys who seem to be in a position to earn some more reps.
Yep. And I know the clips are going all around Twitter. Tyquan Thornton, who we'll talk about one-on-one, beating Christian Gonzalez. I don't have any worry about Christian Gonzalez, but do you have any worry about Christian Gonzalez here? Because I would say his second NFL camp maybe hasn't been as dominant or as good as his first NFL camp, but I still have no worry about him at corner. But do you feel differently or maybe the same about Gonzo here early on?
So I was trying to remember his camp from last year. Apparently, I'm worried because that's how Felger and Maz translate, or Felger and Jim Murray translated my answer earlier when I was on with them. I mean, he definitely hasn't been as dominant as you'd like to see. Like, that's fair. I don't think that means he's been bad. And I say this as somebody who posted one of the one-on-ones. Like, I kind of hoped people understood what one-on-ones are at this point. Massive advantage to the offense. And really, that clip I posted is a great throw from Jacoby Brissett more than anything else. That's kind of why I posted it. I probably should have said that in the tweet, but I'm not worried in the sense that, like, okay, I'm not worried about him not being a starting caliber player. Like, he's been fine. It's in the context of, we thought there was like this massive year 2 leap coming, and it doesn't mean it's not happening, but he hasn't shown that yet. We haven't seen the guy that locked up Garrett Wilson and Tyreek Hill last season. Like, he hasn't played at that level. Maybe some of that is he hasn't played competitive football in 10 months.
Yep.
He's trying to get his legs back under him, things like that. But that's where, if you want to call that a concern, and I could see where that would be a concern, because for this defense to be at the level where it's going to win them games, they kind of need Gonzalez to be that ace. If we're talking in that context, yeah, I'm a little concerned, a little bit, lowercase, but I'm not concerned about him like, oh, well, he's a bust. It was a bad pick. No. And I'm not remotely close there.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you there. And he was someone else who was kind of limited throughout the spring, right, as he was still working his way back. So maybe he's still gearing up there to full speed and just needs to get his legs under him a little. So I'm not worried. Just, I mean, you saw it in 3.5 games last year, and just the athletic traits and just how calm he is as a player. I still think very highly of him and think he's going to be a really good player for them. So Not hitting the panic button at all there for Christian Gonzalez. But anything else defensively? I believe that was all I had.
Yeah, I mean, the big standout for me today was that they did have to run a lap. There was a miscommunication.
Yep.
That was the first
That's a good
time
point.
this summer that was between
It's like a defensive back substitution error. I think Jonathan Jones and
you had Schooler and Hawkins kind of trying to figure something out, and then Jonathan Jones came in late. So just to make note of that first defensive lap. And then again, my big thing is we're seeing a little less Alex Austin and some other guys getting some reps in those spots, and it's mainly been Isaiah Bolden and Marcellus Dial.
Yeah. Yeah, the Marcellus Dial uptick, and maybe that had something to do with Sean Wade, leaving early. Like he's had some good run. Sean Wade, he had the big pass breakup to end Tuesday's practice. So, but you saw a lot more Marcellus Dial, and I don't think like he stood out, which for a corner, like that's a good thing, right? Like we weren't saying like, oh, they're picking on Marcellus Dial a lot. So that could be something interesting to see if he starts gaining some momentum here now that he's 1-2 weeks into his first NFL training camp. So let's take a very quick break. We'll hear from our friends over at Game Time, and then we will get back to talk about the Patriots offense and special teams from today. I got to talk to you guys about Game Time, which is the authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, and it makes getting tickets faster and easier because prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying all your MLB tickets. They have flash deals to save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event, and zone deals to save if you're looking to sit in a specific section. It is baseball season, and the Red Sox are hot, and while they're going on the road for the next week, they'll be back in Fenway against the Yankees, where you can see All-Star Game MVP Jarren Duran as the Red Sox continue to make their playoff push. And if you're in the Boston area, if you're around Fenway, Cask and Flagon, Bleacher Bar, getting a bite to eat, getting a drink, Game Time has last-minute deals where you can save up to 60% off on buying last-minute tickets for sports. So make sure you check the Game Time app right before first pitch to make sure you're not missing any last-minute deals. And you can even get your comedy, theater, or concert tickets on Game Time as well. So take the guesswork out of buying all your MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. All right, Patriots offense, good amount of work in the kind of low red area today for them, and they had a little one session in between the 20s, but we'll start with Drake Maye. Thought it was a good bounce back day for him, and again, they weren't in pads, right? So we didn't have a complete live rush coming at him, and that's where he kind of ran into some problems on the mental side of things the last two practices in full pads, but I thought it was a better day for him. Had a couple of those, some impressive. He finally hit a downfield throw to Mitchell Wilcox. Credit to Mitchell Wilcox. Had a kind of good day. All right, I'll give credit.
Yeah, don't just blow by that. Don't just blow by that.
He caught the foot. He had a few catches today. I'll give credit.
You're
to
turning
Mitchell
me into this like big Mitchell Wilcox defender. My take was never that he was good. It was just that he was going to make the team. But you went so negative on him that I feel like I have to hold you accountable.
The first day we get out there and he drops like 3 balls from Drake Maye, and I'm like, and I know he's a blocking tight end, but it's like, come on, what are we doing here? But yeah, he had a downfield throw, a nice corner route to Mitchell Wilcox there. You saw some of those physical tools, like a nice sidearm throw to Michael Petway in the back of the end zone. But I thought maybe his most impressive play was, the Patriots defense was showing a blitz, looked like a cover 0 blitz, and he looked like he checked out of it, hit just a quick screen to Jacob Warren, which kind of goes back to a play you were talking about a few days ago where like they're showing blitz, and instead of, just hitting the quick backside slant to Javon Baker, he's rolling out, causing more pressure, and he has to throw it away. So maybe some of the mental things are starting to click a little bit. That play drew a big applause from Jacoby Brissett. He ran on the field and dapped them up. So small step in the right direction, I thought, for Drake Maye. But what'd you take of the rookie's day today out there?
Yeah, he was better. I don't know that I'd call it a full bounce back because that second 11-on-11 period was hit and miss. But that first one, I mean, we saw the guy that you got excited about with the 3rd overall pick. He's throwing off platform. He's throwing sidearm. He's zipping the ball in. He's hitting tight windows. He had the one to Petway, which he just put in a keyhole. He had another really good high point throw to Juju Smith-Schuster that he just couldn't hold on to. He let Marcus Jones knock it out. That's more about Juju Smith-Schuster than anything else.
That
But
might
I'll
have
give
been one of his best throws of the day.
So remember a couple days ago, I said he threw a pick and I was like, yeah, it wasn't even really an issue.
Yep.
This is the opposite of that. It went in the books, and this is why you can't only rely on training camp stats. It went in the books in incompletion, but it was a plus throw. It was an encouraging throw. And then I thought his best throw was he's moving a little bit. He has KJ Osborne crossing along the end line. He kind of pumps his shoulders, hold the safety, drops the arm slot, sidearm, zips it right into Osborne and makes a sliding catch. Ball splits the safeties for the touchdown. That was a high level throw. And I think what's so surprising is for a guy who was struggling, red zone's usually tough for a young quarterback. Everything speeds up. There's less room. Maybe it's because there weren't pads on, but he made the most of that. Now he's got to do when the pads are on, right? That's going to be the big question. But he had it. It was a good day today. He had a good day. He's got a stack days, but he had a good day today.
Yep. Hopefully that's, we saw the ball go in the hoop, right? He had a good positive day and he can start building off that, especially if they put the pads on tomorrow. If he can come back and start stacking days, as you said, that would be encouraging from Drake Maye today. But Jacoby still clearly operating as the quarterback one. I thought it was kind of another shaky accuracy day from him. He missed pop high, he missed pop behind once, threw one kind of behind KJ Osborne as well. So that's kind of 2 days in a row or 2 practices in a row where maybe some of the accuracy got away from Jacoby, but he still bounced back with a couple nice throws. He had the one to Tyquan in 11s and the one-on-ones you were talking about earlier, and a couple of Hunter Henry there. So what'd you think of Jacoby out there today?
I mean, like he had that one miss, but another steady, even day. He just continues to be that presence, and I think that's what it's going to be. I think that's just what he's going to be. It's been a minute since we watched a veteran quarterback at Patriots training camp. I think he's just going to continue to go about his business and operate the offense.
Yep. I just love his energy out there. Like he's pumping up the crowd.
Yeah.
When they're just throwing into the nets, even if he's not throwing. And then as we talked about, like he's running on the field, dapping up Drake Maye after good plays, after, Joe Milton doing good plays. And that's something like the offense the last few years, they've lacked a lot, and energy is one of those things. So just good to see that energy kind of on the sideline and on the field when Jacoby's out there, I think. And that's what you get like with this veteran leader. That's one of the reasons we all wanted him throughout the free agency period there. So, but the QB3 battle, Joe Milton got the 1 period in 7-on-7s. Bailey Zappi got the 1 period in 11-on-11s. Joe Milton, pretty impressive. Again, 3 touchdowns, I think, and one really impressive one, like back right corner to Quan Baker. Now he's not competing with Drake Maye right now. He's still running with the threes, but Joe Milton's kind of stacking some impressive days. And then, it was just kind of the Bailey Zappi experience. He had one nice play where he kind of navigated the pocket and hit Kayshon Boutte, who made a nice catch. Might have been a sack in live action, but kind of the Bailey Zappi experience. And Joe Milton, you can take it away on Joe Milton's been pretty impressive.
He has, but here's the thing as it relates to Drake Maye. I think the wires get crossed when we talk about performance and we talk about performance versus expectations. Joe Milton has been better compared to his expectations than Drake Maye has compared to his. But the bar for Joe Milton and the bar for Drake Maye aren't even in the same stratosphere. So, yes, Joe Milton has impressed so far in camp. The bar was much lower, and he's cleared the bar, and he's cleared it significantly. Drake Maye maybe hasn't cleared his bar, but his bar was to be ready to not, I think for some people, not just start week 1, but like immediately be the clear-cut face of an NFL franchise. So when you look at it in that regard, yes, Joe Milton has outperformed his expectations. Drake Maye hasn't. The expectations weren't exactly the same, but Joe Milton has outperformed expectations. He's been good, and we'll see what they end up doing about the backup quarterback. If they don't keep Bailey Zappi, do they want to buffer between Drake Maye and Joe Milton? And I understand if they don't want Joe Milton to be the first rookie quarterback that plays this year. That's kind of a weird message to be sending. So maybe there is another quarterback that mixes in. I've been using Nathan Rourke. I know he got signed by the Falcons today. But Milton's playing like a player that you want to keep around. And maybe they end up having to risk him to the practice squad, going through waivers. But every year, and hold me to this, because I'm going to try to be better about this. Every year we go through like 9 or 10 players. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to get to the practice squad. And because like we're trying to make the roster projection like dramatic, and then they all clear. So watch, I say that, and this will be the year that they get like 3 or 4 guys picked off.
I think we had this like exact conversation in like May or something where I was like, I want to be better of being like, they could probably get this guy to the practice squad. And then you were like, well, once we say that, that guy's going to get taken and claimed off waivers. So.
But Joe Milton's looking like a player you want to keep around. He's not looking like he's going to suddenly pass Drake Maye, but he's looking like a guy you want to keep around.
Yep. Yeah, he's got all the physical tools, as we know, and he's showing some, interesting promise in some other areas as well. So that's a good kind of third developmental quarterback to keep around there. So that's your quarterback report. Let's go to the O-line because we had some shuffling up there today, and David Andrews was back. His newborn boy was in the hospital. So he was released today. So that was all good news around. But David Andrews was back, but he didn't participate in team drills. So Nick Leverett was back at center. But the big news was kind of at the tackle spots. We finally looked like we were getting some continuity there. 4 straight practices with Caden Wallace at left and Chuks Okorafor at right. Little wrinkle today with Vidarian Lowe at the left side on the left tackle spot, and Chuks Okorafor stayed at the right tackle spot. And then Caden Wallace bumped back to that second unit. He played left tackle, and that shifted Calvin Anderson to the right tackle on the second unit. So I thought it was weird. Like, we've been talking, get your 5, start building this continuity. It seemed like that 5 with Caden Wallace, too, through the 2 padded practices, were building some momentum and looked pretty impressive. And then they put Vidarian Lowe in there, kind of a curveball. I wasn't a huge fan of that. I'd imagine you're kind of on the same wavelength there, but what do you think of that Lowe and Caden Wallace switch at left tackle today?
It's a non-padded practice, so for me, it's like, all right, how much were they really going to get done up front? But you know how I feel. I want that continuity back. So I was hoping that top group with Caden Wallace would get a shot at least through the first preseason game. And, after that, it is a logical time to reevaluate. How'd it go? Do you want to make a change or not? But let's see. If they suddenly make that switch after Caden Wallace was playing really well.
Yep.
That would be a head scratcher. Maybe they just wanted to give Wallace a rest. He's a rookie. Like, I don't really know, but it's that. I don't think he was bumped for anything performance based, or he shouldn't have been at least.
Yep. It just seemed like a weird time to make that move again, because Caden Wallace was playing well, and it seemed like they finally had a 5 up there. I thought maybe they want to give like Drake Maye, Caden Wallace, because the backup offensive line was a mess for Drake Maye, but then you could have just switched Vidarian Lowe and Calvin Anderson, because Vidarian Lowe is a better left tackle and Calvin Anderson can still play right. So I don't know. It was just kind of a weird wrinkle out there today, but if they're in pads tomorrow, which again, we expect them to be, we'll get a better sense of that, because maybe Caden Wallace is just back there at left tackle tomorrow and we're back to where we started. But yeah, just for the continuity point, like, I would have preferred to have that same 5 back out there for a 5th straight day at that tackle spot. But we will see how that looks tomorrow. So anything else to add on the O-line? It was pretty much the tackle spot and David Andrews back, but anything else that you have of note there?
Not up front, no.
Yeah. Again, not padded practice, so just personnel groups with those tackles. But wide receivers, are you doing Taekwon? Big day 101. We mentioned we just have to ask, are you doing Taekwon every show? But
so Evan accused me of doing the Taekwon Thornton thing.
And he accused you.
Yes, because we did a 3 up, 3 down for camp, and I had Taekwon as an honorable mention because I didn't want to put him in my 3 ups. And here's the difference between what Evan did and what other people have done and what I'm doing. I am saying this all in the past tense. Like, Brian, objectively, who has been their best? And this is what, there's some major caveats here. With Kendrick Bourne and Pop Douglas essentially not practicing, who has been their best veteran wide receiver in camp?
Taekwon.
Right. Now that eliminates 4 players when I say it that way. But
their best 4 players.
Like, let's right. But that's the thing. We're talking about the
Yeah.
5th or 6th receiver. Let's give credit where credit's due. He's been good, and one hiccup he's had has not been able to get it done in pads. He has done that so far. He has to stay healthy. Big if. And I think part of the problem in his first 2 years was, and I've talked about this, he lost developmental time by getting hurt because you're not doing some of the teaching stuff by the time he gets back in October that you're doing in the summer. He's got to stay healthy, and he's got to keep doing it consistent, because I've seen this before where a guy just puts a good week together and then drops off. And it really has been, it's been 2 bad at practices. That's it. But he's getting open. His hands have been reliable. He's made a couple plays through contact. He forget the one-on-one. He beat Christian Gonzalez in 11s. Like, he's been good. So I want to give him the credit, but that's all in past tense. If I had to do a roster projection today, I still probably would have him off. But to this point, he's done as much as you can realistically ask him to do.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And again, he had the one-on-one wins over Gonzalez. He beat him.
Yeah, one-on-ones don't count.
Yeah, but I think he beat him in 11s, and
he
then
did beat him in 11s. That one counts a lot more.
And then he scored a touchdown on Alex Austin too, in kind of the back of the end zone there. So he's stacking days, and he's doing it with the pads come on. But like, I think the preseason games will be big for him, right? Like taking real in-game physical contact. He's obviously got to hold up. So those games will be big for him. But again, give him credit where credit's due. He's coming out here and he's doing everything they kind of ask for him, in building some competitive days here. But I thought Tyquan was good today. I thought Pop Douglas was the best receiver on the field, and he's still in his red non-contact jersey, but he's taking part of team drills, and he was just like uncoverable today. And his worst enemy, unfortunately, was Patriots quarterbacks, because Jacoby missed him high once. Jacoby missed him behind in the end zone once. He had a miscommunication with Drake Maye, which Maye took the credit for, or the blame for. And then the one pass he finally caught, it was an in cut, and it was still a little bit high from Maye, and he had to go up and snag it. But I thought Pop Douglas was awesome today. We're starting to see him be a little more involved, and you just see those the pop we saw last year, the quick twitch. Defenders just can't get their hands on him. And I thought the most encouraging thing was looks like a little chemistry maybe building there with Drake Maye. And we have the Josh Downs comparison, who Maye was awesome with at UNC. So that could be something that, those are 2 young guys, right? Rookie and second-year receiver, that you want to build around those guys. I thought you might saw a little chemistry there, and maybe not a surprise that Maye had a better day with playing a little bit more with Pop today.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we talked about, and you just sort of hit on it. You let him play with the better players, it's going to elevate his game, and it's good to see Pop starting to get in a rhythm, and he looks good, and there doesn't look like he doesn't look super rusty or anything like that. So I have no problem with them taking it slow with him and easing him in. Like, let's just get him to the regular season as healthy as possible. But he's been good now that he's getting involved again.
Yep. So anything from the rookie receivers today? Kind of 2 quieter days from them.
Well, Baker had maybe a really good contact catch against Mikey Victor. Is from Joe Mill. Oh no, it's from Bailey Zappi. Sorry, it's from Bailey Zappi late in practice in that 11s period, in that red zone 11s period, where Victor just kind of face guarded him, and he went up over him, caught the ball with Victor kind of in his chest, and held on to the ground. Now, I don't know if he got 2 feet down. We were kind of debating on the hill.
Was that the one in the left corner?
Yeah. So
the defense's reaction shockingly made it seem like he was out.
I think you can't go off of that. The crowd made it seem so.
I was going off of more Baker's reaction. Didn't seem very excited about the catch, so that made me think maybe he was out of bounds. But
you know what? It's training camp. We're talking process, not results. To get to that ball and haul it in and hold on to it to the ground is encouraging. He'll learn to get that other foot in. Also, it was probably pass interference if we're really going to nitpick it.
Probably. So the 2 rookies, they're still impressive, and just we say it every show, but the usage still hasn't changed. So we still have to say, like, they're out there a ton and they're getting a lot of run. So encouraging sign there. Anything else from those maybe depth receivers? We saw Booty catch, a pair of touchdowns. Not much from Jalen Reagor the last few practices. Again, in that like 5th, 6th wide receiver battle. And not too much from KJ Osborne. He had that one touchdown from Drake Maye that you were talking about, like that sidearm throw, which was a really nice pass. But any of those kind of depth guys, you think gaining? I don't know about gaining ground, like maybe more falling back again. Like Rager's quiet. I mean, Booty had a pair of touchdowns, but anything from that kind of group today?
I mean, does Juju Smith-Schuster fit in there?
I mean,
Like,
yeah, he might be falling out of that group at this point.
so this was another one. I just asked who's their best veteran receiver been. Who's their worst veteran receiver been? And I say that, like, obviously some of these guys are repping less than Juju, but I can think of 2 plays where Kawaan Baker was like, okay, that's Kawaan Baker. Look at that. Jaquan Jackson had a really good diving catch in this camp. David Wallace had one play where he caught up to a Joe Milton go ball that was overthrown. Juju caught a slant from Joe Milton yesterday, but I think that was more the throw than the catch. And it's just, he's been like a drop a day. He can't get separation. He has struggled mightily. And I just don't know, even with the $9 million, I don't know how they keep Juju Smith-Schuster on this team at this point, if this is the player he's going to be.
Yep. He's done nothing to warrant a roster spot. And then he's certainly not playing over anybody. Like even if he makes a team, he's going to be like a game day inactive because he's not playing special teams and he doesn't warrant a spot over any of the 6, 7 receivers above him. So, yeah, I had his only target today, that pass from Drake Maye, which again was he threw him open, a very nice pass, and he got his hands on it, and then he lets Marcus Jones wrestle it away. So that just continues to look like they're going to have to eat that money, or someone's going to have to get really desperate to try to trade for him. But if they're paying any attention to what, the reports are out here, or if he's looking like this in the preseason, I don't know if anyone's going to trade for him because they probably just know the Pats are going to have to cut him at some point.
Yeah, it's just not. It's been. I feel like I'm being extreme using the phrase "worst case scenario" for Juju Smith-Schuster specifically, independent of everything else.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, I don't. There really hasn't been. I mean, he tripped on a rock. he hurt himself tripping on a rock. Like, it has not been the summer he wanted to have. I think we'll put it that way.
No, definitely not. Tight ends, we can loop them in with pass catchers. Just Hunter Henry continues to be Mr. Reliable, Mr. Consistent, especially down in the red area today. Austin Hooper still involved. Mitchell Wilcox, we will give flowers to Mitchell Wilcox. He's still very much involved, and he was actually catching the football today. So anything else from that tight end room that caught your eye?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Not a big. It's crazy. It's weird. Like, red zone day, not a big day for the tight ends. Yeah. Nothing that stood out. LaMichael Petway is getting more involved. So I wonder if maybe Mitchell Wilcox, after his 3 drops, has some competition, but not. I don't even know. I know Henry caught one touchdown, but it was kind of just, you got to open over the middle. Jacoby Brissett flipped it to him. It wasn't that mind blowing of a play. Did Austin Hooper have a catch today? I don't think he did.
He caught. I have him catching the very first pass from Jacoby in 11 on 11s.
Okay. But that wasn't that wasn't red zone.
No, that was in between the 20s, I think. So just that one catch. And then, I don't even think he had a target the rest of the day.
Yeah. Okay. So red zone day, but kind of quiet for the tight ends, a little uncharacteristic there.
Yep. And I don't think much to add running back wise in a non-padded practice. Although I will say in one-on-ones, Ramondre Stevenson had maybe the best win of the day against Raekwon McMillan, which was nasty. So I'll bring that up. Just completely dusted him out of his shoes. But again,
did you see the one Jermichael Hasty ran against Jelani Tavai?
Yes, actually.
I got video of that. So it was this really nifty thing where he looks like he's running a Texas, and Tavai kind of stonewalls him as he cuts back in, and Hasty even kind of like quits on the route for like a half second, and then he just quickly cuts back the other way. And it was, I don't know if that was entirely planned from the start or if it was an adjustment or whatever, but nice little move from Jermichael Hasty there to get some separation.
I think that was the one that drew a loud F-bomb from Mr. Tavai, I believe. So,
yeah, he was not happy. He knew he got got.
Yeah, that was a good move by Hasty. And that's his game, right? Like, he should strive in those areas. So,
and it's not Tavai's game. Like, ideally he's not in coverage that much.
covering a Jermichael Hasty type pass catcher.
Right. But it was still good route. Good route.
Yeah.
Give him credit.
Yeah. Credit where credit's due. I think that's it offensively. So we can do a little special teams. We saw kickoffs for the first time, or I would say first time, right? They did one kickoff the other day, but like they were kicking it off from the 50-yard line. It was kind of weird. This seemed to be like the first real kickoff drill. And I see everyone asking about the Hall of Fame game in the chat. I'm excited to turn it on just for the opening kickoff to see what the hell happens. So we'll get that in about 12 minutes here. So we'll have to do special teams in 10 minutes. But looks like they were experimenting with some, alignment wrinkles and stuff like that. We can't go into too much detail about it, but seems like they were getting pretty creative with some of the alignments. The returners, they're going to be a 2-return team that carried over from the spring, and Jalen Reagor and Antonio Gibson were the top guys there. So, the Jalen Reagor special team stock is still high in that department. But did anything that we kind of can talk about in the kickoffs, or maybe players that were out there stand out to you now that we finally got to see this a little bit?
Oh, just seeing it in person, I think what was jarring to me was the gap between that line where the coverage and blocking teams are and the returners is much bigger than it looks on those graphics. And that's going to allow teams to really set things up. I think we're going to see teams. I think teams are going to be afraid of this. I think teams are going to be afraid because there is such an opportunity for an explosive play. We're going to see a lot of touchbacks. If we get a lot of touchbacks in the preseason, because it sounds like the NFL is kind of flying by the seat of their pants on this. Gerard Mayo let it slip the other day. They're still making adjustments to the league office. I wonder if before week 1, we find out that the touchback's now going to go to the 40 instead of the 30 and really penalize teams. And maybe not, maybe that's a little quick. If they want this to be a play, they need to make that change because it is scary as the kicking team.
The 30 is not, I guess, scary. Like the 30 teams are going to be okay giving offenses the ball at the 30
The first couple weeks they're banging out big returns left and right. Teams will say, "Fine, we'll defend 70 yards."
Teams are going to be basically F this. We're going to kick it through the end zone, and you're going to start at the 30 instead of the 25. So they got to add at least maybe like the 35, but I think the 40. If you really want teams to return, you would make the touchback the 40, and then teams like you're really going to have to guard this and return the ball. So, we'll get our first live action in 10 minutes here in the Hall of Fame game, and see what happens. But cool to kind of see how that looked for the first time in person and how that might develop. And we also ended with live field goals. Chad Ryland, Joey Sly still going at it. Sly led off again. They worked from 32, 35, 39, and 49 yards. Joey Sly, 3 of 4. His one miss was wide left from 39 yards. And Chad Ryland was 4 of 4, making all of his. So he's been pretty impressive, Ryland. I have him 12 of 13 here, and Sly 10 of 13 in the summer now. So a slight lead for Chad Ryland. Are you confident in it? Are you gaining some confidence in Chad Ryland?
I still think it's pretty even. I will say this, something I've noticed about the way Chad Ryland's kicking the ball.
Yeah, you were looking at that.
He's got a hook on it.
A lot today.
You saw that, right? Where off the foot, it looks like it's going to miss and it hooks back. So I don't know if that's an adjustment he made or just something that happened today. It wasn't windy where we were, but it was windy up. But yeah, I still too close to call so far for me.
Yep. Yeah, they've only went through four field goal sessions, and one they each kicked once. So still plenty of time to go, and hopefully they actually get some field goal opportunities in the preseason this year, so we can see some preseason field goals and how that shakes out. I think they have 1 or 2 field goals in the preseason last year, and Nick Folk took both of them, which was weird to let him do that. But hopefully we're moving the ball a little bit better in the preseason so we get some field goals and see how those guys look. But encouraging start for Ryland, I would say. Only missing 1 kick through 4 field goal sessions. So we'll see if he can keep building off that momentum. But anything else? Any last notes from day 7 from you?
I think that's it. Let's go watch 5 minutes of football's back, followed by 2.5 hours of This Isn't What I Remember Football being.
Oh, yes.
I'll say this. Since it is a Hall of Fame game, I do like to point out it is hang on. I got to
Jeff
talk
Fisher?
real quick.
Are you
Yeah.
bringing
What
up
year
the
was
Jeff
that?
Fisher play?
Yeah.
I want to say like, it might,
2009. So yeah, so
oh,
it is the
I was gonna say 07 or 08, so I was right there.
it is the 15th anniversary of the greatest moment in Hall of Fame game history. No, not when they used the wrong paint and had to cancel the game because the field was too sticky. That's the second
That was a
greatest
good
moment.
one.
The greatest moment in Hall of Fame game history is the Titans had designed this beautiful fake punt. I mean, brilliant design, and burned it in the most meaningless game on the entire NFL calendar. Shout out Jeff Fisher. I will always find that hilarious. And at the time, because how old would I be? I would have been like 14. No, I was older than that. Yeah, I was like 14, 15. I was like, oh man, that's so cool. Look at that. What a play. And now looking back on it, I'm like, why the hell did they do that?
Yep.
So I don't know. We'll see. Pats are going to have a Hall of Fame game soon.
Yeah.
Because what year? 24, 26, 28, 2028?
3 years, 4 years.
I think it's 5 years, right? So 2027, 2028. I'm sure it'll be Pat's Bucks Hall of Fame game, but it's coming up. We'll have one soon.
Yep. Who knows what the kickoff will look like at that point, but
if there is one.
Yeah, probably not. But we'll wrap it up here. Day 7 of Pat's camp. We'll be back tomorrow for day 8. Hopefully it is a full padded practice. I believe that's what we're expecting. Going to be another hot one down there at Gillette as well. So make sure you're locked on to the Patriots Press Pass YouTube channel so you are notified when we go live, and you can turn on your notifications to do that as well. And you can follow Alex on Twitter at RealAlexBarth. Head over to 985thesportshub.com to read his Patriots training camp news and reports from today. And you can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines, and head over to patspulpit.com to read our training camp coverage over there as well. Thank you everyone for tuning in with us tonight, and we will see you guys tomorrow.